The revolutionary leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have emerged as beacons of African sovereignty and resistance against neo-colonial exploitation. Their bold actions have sent an unequivocal message to the West. Africa is no longer willing to accept its subservient position in global relations. These leaders have exposed the West's dependence on Africa for resources, influence, and economic leverage, while dismantling the illusion of Western superiority. Without Africa, the systems of power that the West relies upon are unsustainable. This paradigm shift became evident following the military coups in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These events marked a decisive break from the West's long-standing dominance in the Sahel region. France, in particular, responded with condemnation, severing diplomatic ties with the new governments and attempting to isolate them internationally. However, this strategy has proven disastrous for France. France, once a dominant power in the region, has suffered significant setbacks. French troops have been expelled from Mali and Burkina Faso, its embassies have been shuttered, and anti-French sentiment has surged across the Sahel. One of the most striking indicators of this decline is the financial loss suffered by France's national airline, Air France. Before the coups, Air France was a highly profitable enterprise in the Sahel. The airline earned an astonishing daily revenue of 500 million FCFA in Mali, 430 million FCFA in Niger, and 390 million FCFA in Burkina Faso. This totaled over €2 million per day across the three countries, underscoring the economic significance of the Sahel to French commercial interests. However, following the rise of military governments and the rejection of French influence, Air France was effectively driven out of the region. This expulsion has resulted in devastating financial losses, with the airline reportedly losing over €65 million since its departure. Despite these losses, recent reports reveal that Air France is now attempting to re-enter the Sahel, a move that raises several pressing questions. The central question is this: why would Air France seek to return to a region that has so decisively rejected French influence? And perhaps more importantly, will the current military governments, which have consistently prioritized sovereignty and self-determination, allow the airline to resume operations? The motivations behind Air France's push to return are clear. The Sahel represents a lucrative market and a critical economic zone for French interests. Its absence from the region has not only hurt its bottom line, but has also symbolized France's waning influence in Africa. However, the decision to permit its return ultimately lies with the revolutionary governments of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. These leaders have shown a steadfast commitment to breaking free from exploitative arrangements and forging equitable partnerships with nations that respect their sovereignty. To fully understand the stakes, it is crucial to examine the historical and structural dynamics underpinning this conflict. France's economic dominance in the Sahel, as exemplified by Air France's prior profits, was deeply tied to exploitative practices that prioritized French interests over African development. The removal of French influence has been celebrated by many as a reclamation of African dignity and autonomy. In this regard, Mali's Foreign Minister, Abdoulaye Diop, has provided critical insights into the nature of Air France's operations and the broader implications of France's presence in the region. His revelations shed light on the exploitative practices that characterize France's economic relationship with the Sahel. By revisiting his statements, we can better understand the motivations behind the revolutionary government's rejection of French influence and the ethical considerations surrounding Air France's potential return. La compagnie Air France. It's the same thing for the Air France company. C'est la vie. We get up, vous avez a company, you have conventions. Il y a des gens qui quittent les États-Unis. There are people who leave the United States. They are on the plane before arriving in Paris. All flights are cancelled. Companies, they are in Tunisia. No, they have not yet been able to arrive here. And when the company gets up, only says that we have closed because we have problems with Mali. There is no problem. If it is to sanction Mali because Mali has supported Niger, we will do it. We will do it. It will not make it difficult for us. We also called Air France. I said that now that you say that you are going to take back the 11, you are not taking back the 11 horse. And when you are ready, you will line up in line. If we are ready to give you back. Et quand vous serez prêt, vous allez faiblir à la queue. See on their prayer. Hey, and in the meantime, we tell them that you are not the only company in the world. Il y a d'autres compagnies dans le monde aussi qui vont. There are other companies in the world too who believe that if they need this place, they will take it or money because someone cannot get up every day in Mali. I closed, I opened, I closed, I opened. No. Bon, ça, il faut aussi qu'on respect so that we must also be respected. We even respect the clientele. Yeah, because it is not a joke. There are people who have been stuck in Paris for how many days? They are there. They can't do that in the United States. They can't do that in other regions. They do it at home. You want to see Burkina, Niger, Mali? We closed. So people have to understand they can't come here. And if it's a commercial company, Air France earns 500 million francs a day on the Mali destination. We are the winners. And so I believe that reciprocity is important. And we told France, we told all our partners they have to understand. I believe that the Prime Minister said on the podium of the General Assembly of the United Nations that Mali will now apply reciprocity. But you shoot a bullet, we will answer. So that it has to be extremely clear. It's also busy with, and all these countries, if you look at France or others, Mali, we have never shot the first, is that? It is they who always come to provoke us. They pose acts, they think we are going to sit down, we are going to look at them. Otherwise, we have no problem with anyone. You saw us get up, go attack someone in the morning, no? It is they who pose, thinking that you are worth nothing. If they do that, they will hurt you. But by hurting, they have almost lost everything, progressively, because we are ready to assume our dignity. We are ready to assume the respect that you owe us. And if they don't understand, other partners will understand today. Because many partners come to us now to say, yes, your 3 principles. We agree. We understand. And also, because that's it. Because they understand that not only do we have the 3 principles, but we apply them. There are consequences. We will pay, but it will make us move forward. So the other important dimension of Malian diplomacy is that we have also worked to diversify our partners. Which is not even a new concept, but since I was a young diplomat, and I came to the direction of international cooperation in the 90s. But we were already talking about diversifying our partners. But today, when we talk about that, people get angry. They say to themselves, why do you want to diversify? Everything is going well with us. Why do you want to go elsewhere? But if we go elsewhere, we have nothing to do with you. Diversify means that we are not married to a partner. We can have a strategic partner, but we are not married to a partner. We want to work with China. We want to work with Russia. We want to work with Turkey. We want to work with the United States or with others. If they respect our principles, we can work together. But what we call diversification is that no one comes to tell Mali that you can't work with them for. That is not your choice. Now, if we choose a question and you are not happy with it, you can draw a conclusion. It is really your rights. We will respect it. So I think that diversification of partners is mainly to be able to meet the needs of Malians, whether it is on an economic level, because today there are economic partnerships. When they come, they will try to get money. But you also have something. Yeah. But you can't earn 100 unless if you're at home and feels, I have nothing for the equilibre. So I think that diversification also responds a little to this rebalancing in international relations. That is why today, on the geostrategic level, it is not that you hear about Russia and others, but Mali in general. That is why we are fighting. We are looking for a multipolar world, because today you have a group of countries that dominate the world. Is a fact, that is being called the West, and that is being called that there is a globalization, mondialisation. But you must not be mistaken. Mondialisation. What we call globalization is the occidentalization of the world. Which is called globalization. If we are in globalization, we are not. It is a group that dominates. But we say that this leads to conflicts and tensions because a group cannot impose its will on the whole world. Especially that this group today, on the demographic and economic level, is starting to be a minority in the whole world. There are other political and demographic forces that have emerged, like China, Russia, as versa. Businesses are flocking, investments are flowing, and the AES is positioning itself as a hub of opportunity. This isn't some distant dream, it's happening now, right before our eyes, while African leaders sit in their plush offices, issuing statements that lead nowhere. This move by Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger isn't just a wake-up call to our leaders, it's a roaring alarm, a blazing indictment of their cowardice and complacency. For too long, we've watched ECOWAS and the African Union stumble, paralyzed by fear of offending their Western paymasters. For too long, we've seen summits end in photo ops with no substance, while our people languish under poverty, insecurity, and foreign exploitation. But here come these three nations, led by visionaries like Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, showing us that everything is possible when you cast aside fear and stand tall. Traoré, a young lion at just 37, has become a beacon across the continent, not because he seeks fame, because he dares to act. From Accra to Nairobi, from Dakar to Johannesburg, his name echoes in the streets, a symbol of what leadership should be. Let's break this down, because the implications are staggering. The AES isn't just embarrassing ECOWAS, it's exposing the entire edifice of African regionalism as a house of cards. ECOWAS, with its 15 member states, has had nearly 50 years to forge a united front, yet it's the AES, barely 2 years old, that's being treated as a single entity by a global power like Russia. Where ECOWAS imposes sanctions on its own, the AES builds alliances abroad. Where ECOWAS clings to French and English as its lingua franca, the AES lifts up its own tongues. Where ECOWAS bows to Western pressure, the AES courts BRICS and charts its own course. This isn't just a divergence, it's a declaration of independence that shames every leader who's ever taken a bribe or signed a sellout deal. And let's not kid ourselves, the West is rattled. The AES's pivot to Russia, its rejection of neo-colonialism, its audacity to operate as one nation, is a direct challenge to the old order. France, once the puppet master of the Sahel, has been kicked to the curb. The US, with its bases and drones, is losing ground fast. The AES isn't just talking sovereignty, it's living it, breathing it, weaponizing it against those who've kept us down for centuries. And Russia, they're not here out of charity. They see the Sahel as a strategic prize, a foothold in Africa that could tilt the global balance. But unlike the West, they're offering partnership, not domination, and the AES is seizing it with both hands. So what does this mean for us, the Pan-Africanists who've dreamed of a united, powerful Africa? It means hope, but it also means reckoning. The AES has shown that unity isn't a slogan, it's a choice, a fight, or a daily grind. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger aren't waiting for permission, they're building the future now. If they join BRICS, they'll bring nearly 80 million people and a landmass bigger than India into a bloc that's already shaking the world. They'll have Russia's military might, China's economic muscle, and India's diplomatic clout behind them. ECOWAS, with its 400 million, will look like a relic, big, bloated, and irrelevant. But this isn't just about geopolitics, it's personal. It's about every African child who deserves a future free from foreign boots on our soil. It's about every farmer who should sell his crops to a partner who respects him, not a master who exploits him. It's about every young man and woman who should speak their mother tongue with pride, not shame. The AES is proving that these aren't pipe dreams. They're within reach if we dare to grab them. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, Colonel Assimi Goïta of Mali, and General Abdourahmane Tiani of Niger aren't just leaders. They're warriors in a struggle that's bigger than borders. Traoré, with his fiery speeches and fearless stance, has captured our hearts because he embodies the spirit of Sankara, Lumumba, and Nkrumah. He's not afraid to call out the imperialists, to kick out the French, to align with those who will help him arm his people. Across Africa, from the dusty villages of the Sahel to the bustling cities of the coast, his face is on t-shirts, his words on lips, his vision in hearts. Why? Because he's doing what others won't. He's standing up. So, my fellow Africans, let's not mince words. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have embarrassed our leaders, and they've done it with style. They've taken the AES to Russia, waved their flag, secured their future, and left ECOWAS in the dust. This isn't a betrayal, it's a blueprint. It's a lesson that fear is the enemy, that unity is power, that sovereignty isn't negotiable. If 3 landlocked, coup-scarred nations can do this, what's stopping the rest of us? The AES summit in Russia isn't just news, it's a mirror. And it's time we looked into it. Our leaders have been warned. Shape up or get left behind. The Sahel is rising, and Africa must rise with it. As the dust settles on the historic summit between the alliance of Sahel states, AES and Russia, one truth stands taller than the tallest baobab tree. Africa is at a crossroads, and Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have lit a fire that could either warm our continent's future or burn down the illusions we've clung to in India. So what we want is to go to a multipolar world that allows each of these demographic or economic powers across the world to bring their place, including Africa today, which has no place in the UN Security Council. 50% du dossier au Conseil de sécurité. 50% of the files in the United Nations Security Council are African files. Permettre à tous ces groupes d'avoir une voix, but Africa is not there. So we say that we must allow all these groups to have a voice, and not to have a minority of countries that think that they are the ones who rule the world. That is why you heard the speech of the president of the transition in Russia. It was also absolutely clear that Mali wants to join the BRICS ships. Because these are other economic and political forces that emerge, which also respond to what Mali wants in terms of respect for sovereignty, winning partnerships, and which are not in neo-colonialist or domination policies. So this is the diplomatic plan, the repositioning that we are looking for, to find ourselves in a framework where we can express ourselves in relation to all these concerns, to be able to really mutualize our efforts. So today this is on an international level, so we are fighting for this multipolarity, but here too in our region we are fighting more and more. You saw a moment when Mali was alone, everyone was against Mali, but today the geopolitical configuration in the region is evolving. Today we are working with Burkina, with Guinea, avec le Niger. Today with Niger, to be able to mutualize our efforts because we are facing the same challenges. What some have not understood for a long time is that Mali and Niger are the same people. Even when the leaders did not see each other, the peoples were together. And now we have found ourselves because the problem in Niger, the problem in Mali, we cannot solve it alone. We cannot solve it with those who were there to create disorder and to create their domination, to oppose us. And I think that today our peoples have understood that the one who creates the problem is this, and we all see it. So today there is this new dynamic that is in place that allows us to work, to evolve. The question is why we are still working to have African organizations. Avoir des organisations, because Mali has not fled from our Pan-African ambition, n'a pas fui par rapport à notre ambition pan-africaine. We remain anchored, shackled to the Pan-African commitment of Modibo Keïta en Afrique, de Modibo Keïta et de Kwame Nkrumah and all the others. Mais nous ne nous reconnaissons plus dans certaines organisations, but we no longer recognize ourselves in certain African organizations that no longer reflect the aspirations of the African people. C'est pourquoi même le G5, on s'est retiré. This is why even the G5, we withdrew because we are members of the G5. But it is France that decides whether Mali will take the presidency of the G5 or not. But you didn't tell me I pay my fee, and it is someone who has the remote control in Paris, did you? No? Okay, so I think that's it. Today we have these different dynamics that are in place, and we really want to work to be able to have joint initiatives. And that's why you see, even on the diplomatic level, you saw Mali, Burkina, who sees the Security Council in relation to the Nigerian file, the situation in the Sahel represents a pivotal moment in African history, a moment when African nations are asserting their sovereignty and demanding equitable treatment on the global stage. The question of Air France's return is not merely about economics. It is about the principles of justice, dignity, and self-determination. Any decision regarding the airline's future in the Sahel will need to align with the broader goals of these revolutionary governments. the liberation of Africa from neo-colonial exploitation and the establishment of partnerships based on mutual respect.